Now, chat, I said before that protests were boring. You remember that? How is there no wind in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, that's a live shot, or that was a live shot earlier today of the White House. Okay, so yeah, no, you're just joining us. We're going to have some fun today. There was a parade in Washington. This parade is ostensibly to celebrate, I think, the 250th anniversary of the United States Armed Forces. But it's also Trump's birthday, and Trump has always wanted, ever since he went to France on, I can't remember what event he saw. He saw a military parade in France, and he was like, why can't we do that? Why can't we just be like be like a dead empire trying to flex its power, right? Its relative power over weaker countries, right? That's what France is doing, right? It's just pathetic. And they told him, Donald, that's a huge waste of taxpayer money. You know that if we bring tanks into the street, we have to repair the street. And yet again, like the military didn't want to do it. The people that would be involved in the parade and the the upper echelon, the upper brass of the military were like, no, dude, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here with that, right? And back then, that was enough. That was enough, right? Donald Trump knew that he was over his head as president, knew that he was only a reality star and not anyone who belonged in a position of power, and knew that if he was going to have any chance of, governing the country, he was going to have to listen to people who were experts in their field. So at that point, he listened to the generals. Well, chat, since then, he's fired the generals. He's threatened to prosecute the generals. He hates the generals because the generals stopped him from doing what he wanted to do, which was to just spray and pray against protesters in the streets in 2020. Fire on American citizens exercising their First Amendment rights. And the generals told him no in 2020. And that was the last time he listened to anyone. So yeah, this is before it starts. You can see, the preparation. They've got the road fenced off there. They've got, I don't know what these trucks are doing. They look like they have their snowblades on. And yeah, it's a normal day in Washington, D.C. It's not, it doesn't even feel like anybody is like noticing what's going on, right? What is this, tourists? Oh no, she's here. She's a hog. She's there for the protest, chat. The hogs have arrived. You can see you can tell by the Oakleys. MR hogs. MR not hogs. Oh my god, can I even make a southern joke? You're supposed to say like OSARCD. I can't think of a way to... I can't land this dad joke, chat. Help me. Alright, so the hogs have found their way. That's good. We wouldn't want the hogs to get lost in Washington, D.C., wind up in the wrong neighborhood. That wouldn't end well. There's more hogs. We got the hogs. They're out to see their military parade of their favorite president. So anyway, yeah, this was earlier. My understanding is that the parade got rescheduled, right? There were, I think, thunderstorms in DC in the afternoon, so they had to kind of move everything up, from what I understand.
He's the real deal. That's the thing I like. He can be good on the field.
Wait, what's this conversation about?
Yeah, that's Kenny's dad. And I said, and he had a Maltese was his favorite, so he had He's got a sign.
I'm sorry, I just want to see if this is like interesting or not. It kind of looks like no. Jesus is my savior, but Trump is my president.
We went to. He does the military.
So if you want to stop math if you're around. We're gonna have like football skills and drills.
Oh, but we can get a shirt now?
Yeah.
Oh God, chat, this is the best part. Football skills and drills. They're gonna do football skills and drills. All right. I don't know. I don't think that's an interesting conversation. It's probably just two old dudes going off. One of them, I'm assuming, is involved with the march itself, with the parade itself. The other, this guy's just like a hog that showed up because he's a Trump super fan. Oh, here we go, chat. Here we go. If you've ever seen the CrossFit World Competition, that is like the only framework I have for what we're about to witness here. Look at it. Does look like CrossFit. It looks exactly, chat. I need to know more about this. It looks like the CrossFit Games. So look, there's hogs that showed up. There's not a lot of them, right? It's a pretty empty field here. It was pretty embarrassing. There were a few ads that were seen of, you know, that they were willing to, they were advertising, they were asking people to come to the protest and sit in the bleachers and get paid to do it. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that ever got verified, right? But it makes sense considering that the attendance at this event is massively underwhelming. Now, I'm talking both about in terms of the American people and in terms of the United States government, Trump's Republicans, his, you know, his party, right? Very few of sitting senators or members of Congress actually stayed in town this weekend, despite this being the president's birthday, this big event, the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Armed Forces, and the you know, first North Korea style military parade in the United States since the ridiculous. I think the Gulf War was the last time they tried to do like a ticker tape parade.
Okay. Oh, really?
Oh, here we go, chat. Are you ready? Now, I don't know. Oh my God, that music is so bad.
Our teams. It's starting to get a little tough.
What's going on? Who got the music? Who ordered the music? This is definitely copyright free, chat. No, this looks exactly like the CrossFit Games. Anybody want to back me up on this? Chat, this is worse than music I could find on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe we should put some different music, just to make sure that I'm not getting copyright claimed. I'll try to find some other copyright free music. There we go, chat. This is the vibe. Okay, I'm gonna take that back. I feel like this is more cringe than anything that CrossFit has ever produced, right? And chat, if you don't know, CrossFit produced Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's wild, chat. Now look, I've got some respect for combining, you know, weight bearing exercise with, you know, cardiovascular. I think that the separation between cardio and weight training that we do, or you know, anabolic, it's a little bit artificial, right? And it's just not a very functional exercise, right? I'm a proponent of functional exercise, to a certain extent. The parade is a humiliating embarrassment on America. True, Heaney. They aren't getting any oxygen. Oh no. It looks like chat, you could see this in any LA Fitness with boomers there. Like, it's just... What were they thinking? Oh no. This is embarrassing. Chat, if we get attacked by like China tomorrow, you're gonna know why, all right? Like, this is the strength that the US armed forces are projecting. Where is this being done? This is Washington, D.C. This is I think the opening event or something. This is like the opening act for the parade. So, you know, that guy's pretty fit. He's got some solid gains. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it, troops. I'm gonna rewatch this with the Village People playing. Yeah. What do you think, chat? Is there another good song that I could How does this display military prowess? It doesn't. It projects military weakness. It projects poor leadership and, you know, questionable. I mean, and chat, like, these are their best and their brightest as far as physical fitness goes. And it just looks like a amateur CrossFit event or something. It's pathetic. Somebody's gonna throw out their back too. I don't think their form is great. And also you know, their lifts, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know how much those bars weigh, chat, but like, these would be impressive lifts if one person. Oh, they're not even together on it. Oh no, chat, they're gonna bust their backs. Oh no, oh no, that's terrible form.
Communist invading radicals.
This is the problem when you have them switch back and forth from cardio to deadlifts.
Peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Like, I could do any of this. I can do all of this. What are you talking about, Sean Parton? I've got my certification. I could teach you to do this, Sean Parton. Can we sign you up? Can we sign you up for some personal training sessions today? I'm salty because I can't join? I'm not in the right country to be in this military. Oh no! Oh no! Come on, help him over! Help him over! He can't do it! He can't do it! Chat, this is terrible! This is terrible! Look! I'm not saying that, like, I don't know, that these people are like weaker or less physically fit or less coordinated than the average person, but these are the troops. All right, and if you're gonna flex the troops' physical fitness, you better be bringing some physically fit troops. Marjorie Taylor Greene, chat, a sitting congresswoman, could do better than this.
Underscore by super chatted $10. Be careful or you may get froganed on Twitch.
Wait, froganed for what? Really? They're worried about me getting froganed. Okay, let me just say, like, I have immense respect for our fighting men and women, for our troops. All veterans, chat, they're a class of people better than you or I could ever be. Okay, here, let's get more. Why don't I try? Because I'd rather watch them fail. Okay. Wow. Oh, you have to lift it with your knee there. That's, I don't think that's how the exercise is supposed to be performed. That's cheating. You're cheating yourself. You're taking away your own gains when you cheat at an exercise. Understand this, right? If you're gonna do an exercise, do it with the right form. When you know, like for instance, chat, dumbbell curls, right? A lot of people, when they do dumbbell curls, they kind of swing. They kind of, they get this swing going, right? Where it's not them lifting the dumbbells, it's like them swinging the dumbbells, right? They're not in control of that exercise, especially the eccentric portion of the exercise. When you're, there's the concentric, and then there's the eccentric, and the eccentric's actually really important. It's really important when you do an exercise to, you can benefit a lot from controlling the weight back down, right? You can actually, like, a lot of your gains actually come from that eccentric movement, right? And they're just cheating themselves out of gains. Oh no, did you see that? It got away from them, chat. Like, look, we better hope that there's never a time where American troops need to grab a large sandbag and hoist it from one shoulder to another, because I don't think that our fighting men and women are quite ready for that. That being said, veterans are great. We love our veterans, chat. We love our veterans. We're not like Frogan. We're not trying to get banned off of Twitch for making fun of the veterans, okay? But these aren't veterans, they're enlisted, so we can make fun of them, right? Oh my god. So yeah, I mean, this is what the hogs came to enjoy. And by hogs, chat, I'm talking about a very small number of hogs. Oh no. Oh no, what are they doing? Are they jumping over this thing? Okay, now they're gonna do bad form push-ups. Ooh. See, look, if you want to flex your armed forces, right? If you look at like what North Korea does, or what any of the countries, China does, occasional military parades, they're coordinated, they're practiced, right? They're doing this to flex. It's pretty pathetic. They shouldn't do it, but they drill on it enough so that it looks somewhat impressive, right? Their marches look good. They're coordinated. They're all doing it, whatever they're doing at the same time, right? I mean, that if you want to be a dictatorship, that's how you do it, right? You got to take some lessons from Kim Jong and North Korea, Trump. If you wanna do this kind of pathetic, display of force of a dying empire, which is what the United States of America is. An empire in its twilight. And don't think that other countries aren't watching this. They are watching and they are laughing. I wouldn't survive a day in basic. Bro, basic would be basic for me. I would be asking them, can we do anything harder? Like, if I was in basic, chat, I'd probably have to bring like a heavy bag with me or something just to get enough exercise to feel like I got a workout. Have you seen the guys that pass basic? Have you seen how much they've lowered the standards in terms of enlistment? It used to be a pretty difficult thing to do. They used to you know, wash people out of it. Now they're lucky if they can get enough people to recruit. All right, so what are we doing here? We got a helicopter. We got a dummy. What are we doing? Are we just taking pictures of the kids in the helicopter? Little Black Hawk Down. Yeah, maggots. I'm not trying. I mean, sorry, MAGAs. I'm not trying to make you mad, okay? I'm just watching Donald Trump's parade, and I gotta say, I'm not impressed. Right? If they're gonna have a physical fitness component to this thing, they really should have thought about this more. But I think this is just, yeah, you put your kids in the helicopter, take some pictures. I mean, that's pretty wholesome. All right, let's change the music. I feel like it's no longer appropriate to make fun of our troops. All right, well, I mean, that's good for them. Look, I'm not going to make fun of people's kids. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for their parents to be hogs. It's not the kids' fault. Let's see what else they got. What else you got for us, Trump? You got some American flag clothing. You got the troops. Is that a troop? There's the, There's another kind of hog. The hogs get sweaty. That's why they need to fan themselves off. All right, what else you got for us, Trump? What else you got?
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading radicals. Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading radicals.
It's boring. Okay, so we're gonna take more pictures of the kids with military equipment. Great. Okay, I'm gonna look. We got 10 hours of footage here. I'm gonna try to find the more exciting stuff. What do we got here? Oh, we got a very American-looking family over here. Check this out. Look at that. They love America. It's that Marjorie Taylor Greene! Chat, it's my CrossFit hero. It's her. She's in her exercise. Where was she? Where was she when our troops were fucking up their form on the exercise? Look, nobody can fuck up their form on CrossFit like Marjorie Titan Greene. She should have been there. You can get your picture taken with Marjorie Titan Greene. That's amazing. Chat, do you think she bites her, like, arm and turns into a Titan after? Wait, is this the first? Oh, there she is. Oh my God. I am fangirling so hard. And no joke, chat. She is in very good shape for her age. I'm not even. Wait. Wow. You can get your picture taken with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Give us a good smile, Marjorie. Let's see some more gums. Sorry. tons of hogs attending today's festivities.
Derby Cliff super chatted $9.99. Trump should have hired at least one person who produces Iowa State Fair. They would do it so well.
Damn. Who produces Iowa State Fair? They would do it so well. Yeah. Vietnamese people being Trump fans is pretty sad. I mean, there's a look. There's a lot of people immigrated to the United States, especially if they had collaborated with the Americans during the war, right? So and it should come as no surprise that the people who did, right, the people with the most to lose in Vietnam from the end of capitalism would be rather conservative. So that's the explanation for that. Here, let's find something else good here. How about? Here we go. Oh, hell yeah. We're here with Marjorie Titan Green at the scene of the soon-to-be United States fascist protest, fascist parade. You think that military parades are just for North Korea and countries like that? Wrong. Wrong. Our big, beautiful president has deigned that we should join in the festivities in the twilight of our empire. As the United States loses the little bit of respect that it once had in the world, we're going to do so in style. Like any fallen empire, flexing our once great military might with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I just don't understand, why wasn't she there correcting the form of our troops, right? I feel like even Marjorie Taylor Greene would have been able to coach those troops to not do the lift. Like, you know, when you assist your lift of a sandbag with your knee, you're really just cheating yourself. Right? You want to get those gains, you got to do the exercise right. And Marjorie will tell you that. No, chat, who am I kidding? She'd have them going so hard, they'd be vomiting and getting rhabdo. I said I've got my certification, but I don't have my CrossFit cert the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene is. So I must defer to her greater knowledge and skills as a proponent of CrossFit. I can't do one of those kipping pull-ups, chat. I do actual pull-ups, not the weird hanging off of the bar, jumping around pull-up.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
That must have been a funny joke. Wait, do we get to hear what her joke? Oh wait, is she actually talking?
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are
Can we hear her?
communist invading radicals.
No. Oh, I thought we would be able to hear what she had to say. Oh wait, so she's taking a picture of him now? I'm sorry I'm hanging up here, chat. I know it's boring for some of you, but she's my hero. Okay, it's starting to get boring again. We lost track of Marjorie. See up what else we got in the Trump parade. Like I said, chat, we got 10 hours of footage to pick through, see what's fun. All right, so more of this. The pre-parade festivities. We got some military vehicles. We got some troops. We got some troops, chat. We got the troops right there. All right, what else are our troops doing? Nothing much, it looks like. And again, I mean, no, this is before. It's unfair to judge the crowd size, chat. I know what a lot of you are saying. This is a very small crowd size, all right? But don't judge it until it gets going, all right? We haven't even started the parade. I'm sure that the big, beautiful parade will produce a big, beautiful crowd of totally not paid to sit there and look like they're here for Trump's birthday celebration. Oh my God, why did they film this? I'm just like, who is this for? Like, this part of the live stream, right? Who is this actually for? Not for us, that's for sure. All right, there's the, I think that's the intersection right next to where they've closed off the street. So the parade's gonna start, chat, I believe at the Lincoln, monument and go to the phallic monument, the one that looks like a erect obelisk of some sort. We're back at the White House. All right, boring. Let's. Oh wait, we got some more. Do we have some more CrossFit? We get to see. Oh, here we go, chat. Here we go. This is what I'm here for more than anything, honestly. Okay, so there's the hogs. They're arriving. The hogs are here. They're here to see the parade.
I'm just gonna get you walking by when you go.
Come on, let's see the hogs.
But now they're a freaking communist invading radical.
You can tell them by their American flag, the great respect they have for the American flag.
But now they're a freaking communist invading radical.
There we go.
Alrighty, it looks like our first two teams are on their
Because it was
last
so peaceful up here, but now they're a freaking communist invading radicals.
Climb those ropes. Okay, so what are they're... Oh, no. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do the exercise, sir. Let's see what the other troops are doing. I want to see how... You're supposed to carry it over, right? That's the trick. That's what makes this hard. All right, you got to carry that thing... Oh, no. We're going to put it down on the... We're just going to push it over. Yeah, at least toss it over. At least toss it over, right? That's... You know, when you don't do the exercise right, you're only cheating yourself. So, I mean, this is supposed to be some kind of competition. I think that the, I think they're in teams. I don't see Marjorie Taylor Greene here, despite the fact that whatever the hell they're doing is dangerously close to CrossFit. I feel like MTG could really help them out. I've seen some pretty bad form today. Come on, push it, dude, push it.
It requires every muscle group in your body to participate.
Wait, is that who's announcing?
They cannot start the bike until the deadlift bar is off the ground. And there's a strategy to it. Do you lift quickly and hold for longer? Do you lift slower and hold for less? Each team has their own strategy, their own unique plan. Each team captain is calling out commands to make sure that the bar is lifted in synchronized form, in unison, to make sure that each person carries his fair share. And it looks like the National Guard team is moving right along. Let's cheer them on, folks. Let them hear you make some noise.
Ooh.
You can hear them shouting chants of dig, 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 pedal, 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 go faster. That weight becomes excruciating to hold as you finish the last few calories on the bike.
So they've got a set number of calories on the bike. I mean, bikes measure, a lot of exercise equipment measures calories. It's not super accurate. It's usually actually juiced up to make you think that you're getting more, burning more calories than you actually are.
It looks like it's pretty close between 101st and our...
But, oh my God, look at that guy on the bike.
Right now is where it starts to become a mental test. How deep can you dig?
How deep can you dig, chat?
Do you possess when every muscle in your body is screaming for rest, but you must keep going?
Speaking of how deep you can dig, let me dig out some of these super chats and read those off.
5 more deadlifts. 1 hold.
Columbia Rican, thank you for the super sticker.
This is only the second event. And it looks like it's pretty neck and neck between 101st and the National Guard. Who's going to come out on top?
Davy Cliff with a super chat. I love how the biggest supporters of the Iraq War were old people. Were old people who were embarrassed they decided not to fight in Vietnam. Like Trump. Trump was a Iraq War supporter. Little known fact, right, chat? Most people only associate Trump with saying that he was against the Iraq War in the Republican primary debate in 2016. But actually, when the Iraq War was going on, Trump, just like Hillary Clinton, was a fan. Trump was supporting of the war on terror and of the Iraq War. Did not have a problem with it until after it was over.
Let's go. Here comes the 101st. Are they going to be able to catch up with the National Guard team?
Okay, the 101st Airborne, the National Guard.
Before they move on to burpees.
Who's the other team?
One more clean left for the National Guard, and here they go, on to the burpees.
Oh, they're doing burpees? There we go. We got the burpees, chat.
Up together, over the worm, back down again, 10 times. 10 repetitions of burpees. Will the 101st be able to catch up?
What happened to the other team? Did they finish already? Maybe that's the Marines. I don't know.
Once again, every muscle in their bodies is screaming for rest. They want a break, but they can't. This is an ultimate...
That is MTG, right? Is that MTG calling the,
As the Army's fittest soldier, the ultimate glory in the search for Army physical fitness. This is a true test.
So I don't know what they were doing before, but these look like people that are maybe selected.
And the National Guard has moved on to the final event. Here they go with their sandbags. A reminder, these sandbags weigh between 50 and 100 pounds. Each soldier must carry 2 all the way to the finish line. They must get the bag and themselves over the wall, not once, but twice, all the way to the finish line before they can be done. finish line. And the National Guard is on to their last set of sandbags. They're going to sprint to the finish line. They're almost complete. They have to get it over the wall, over the deadlift bar.
So,
And just under 9 minutes right now. They could catch up to the first place team.
what's the first team?
It's going to be really close, folks.
Yeah, these guys look tired.
2 more back.
I can't tell. Are they there because they lapped the other teams? Like, are they ahead of everybody else, or are they behind?
All the way to the finish.
Again, this like highly resembles a CrossFit competition.
All right, we're in 9
Oh no!
Communist invading radicals.
Here they go all the way to the finish line. They're running to the finish line.
But
It's
now
going to be
there
neck
are
and neck.
communist invading radicals.
And time, an unofficial time of 9 minutes, 37 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be
But now
close.
there are freaking
So
communist
close.
invading radicals.
And the 101st isn't far behind them. They're on their sandbags now. This is the last bit of grueling determination, mental strength. Can you cut it out and get home all the way to the finish line? Your teammates are counting on you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all for
I don't think that's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
who will be crowned the Army's fittest unit.
Yeah, who's the fittest unit?
Ladies and gentlemen, cheer them on. This is our final heat. Our last set of teams will be crowned winners of the Army
You can tell a variety of levels of physical fitness within the teams, right? Some of those guys are just like, let's get this done. Others of those guys are catching their breath, right? So if the goal was to show off the cardio,
They're on the final
the
stretch.
physical fitness of the
Our medical team.
American Armed Forces, I don't think that's what's being accomplished here, right?
On the wall. All he has to do is get it to the finish line. One final carry.
I don't think we're scaring China today, chat, with this performance.
All the way to the end. Get it out.
I feel like North Korea is watching this right now, and they're laughing at us.
An unofficial time for 101st with 11 minutes, 20 seconds. All right, our last team of the day is our Medical Center of Excellence. They're at 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Onto the
Medical Center of Excellence, okay.
sandbags home. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure you stick around for the award ceremony when we will crown the Army's fittest soldiers.
I want to know who the fittest troop is.
Have been here today.
Chat, who's the fittest troop?
Just who truly is the Army's fittest.
Oh my god.
Just 2 more burpees. All right, one.
I mean, you can see here in
Cheer them on. Let them know.
okay, you can see here that physical fitness does not always correspond, especially cardio does not always correspond with the
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been
body composition or the amount of skeletal muscle that somebody carries.
to be not just the Army's fittest, but to be in the Army, to defend our nation, to be there mentally, physically, tough, to get after it, to grit through it, no matter how hard you hurt, no matter how bad it is, to make sure you and your teammates get all the way to the finish line. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's truly all about as we celebrate the Army's 250th birthday today.
Make George Washington proud. Come on. Chop that cherry tree. Chop that cherry tree.
13 minutes, and they're on the final home stretch. A reminder,
Fly that kite for Benjamin Franklin.
they're not easy to carry.
Sign your name on the dotted line like John Hancock.
Each.
Make our founding fathers proud.
All the way to the end. Over the
Proud of our troops.
This is when every muscle in your body starts screaming at you to stop, to take a break. That I need some rest. Give me a break.
Every muscle in my body is screaming at me to stop watching this. It's starting to get boring. We got the Hulkster there? Is that the Hulkster? Did you see that, chat? The Hulkster.
And you can't.
There he is, chat. Oh, that's Hulk Hogan.
You can hear the screams of determination. They are screaming out. They are
Famous wrestler.
a true fitness test, a true mental toughness test. They're going all the way.
Okay, look at even the cameraman's bored.
15 minutes.
Even the cameraman got bored. All right, the cameraman's bored. What are we doing now? All right, so we're just walking around. This is the, this is the scene there. It really does feel like I don't know, like a state fair or like a
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. This is the over the deadlift bar, all the way to the end.
So they're not really showing the competition anymore. What else we got? Oh, we got the obelisk. Are we gonna do some monument mythos today? Does anybody know monument mythos? Does anybody know what the story behind the Washington Monument really is? Anyone know who's in the basement of that structure? Anyway, what do we got here? All right, this is the victors?
Get up here. Line up. Get in your line. Get in your line.
So who won? The 101st? Yes. All right, so they're getting medals. All right, well, I mean, that was the most fun we've had so far at the parade, but it is a parade. I'm wondering when they're going to start parading. When do we get to see our troops in action? Got some music. Yeah, it's just like, it kind of feels like a street fair, right? Just some merch to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our fighting men and women.
It's fun.
This is fun. This is very fun. Yeah, you're correct, sir. Wait, were those some Proud Boys? Where were those guys? Did we see some extremists there? Oh, face paint. Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm supporting everybody. We are the body of Christ.
The body of Christ is here.
No candidates.
Where are you from?
I'm from Tacoma Park, Maryland. Long time.
Who's he talking to?
64 in Washington, D.C. And in Northeast D.C. called Providence Hospital.
Why is our cameraman filming another cameraman?
Got it.
All right, you got your interview, I guess. I don't know.
This is what happens when you stand up on the marble.
You got the MAGA hats. No politics. No politics. I'm Israel High. No politics. You can tell they're apolitical here because of the MAGA hats, right? That's how we know. This is an apolitical rally, chat. This is just in support of America and our troops, and it's apolitical, okay? There's no political agenda here today, even though it is Trump's birthday. Even though this is at least $40 million of your tax money going to put this parade together. Remember, chat, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. We aim to reduce all waste, fraud, and abuse. And there's definitely no waste, fraud, or abuse here today. No, these are your tax dollars well spent. Alright, so there's a line of hogs having a bite. He just bit into that ice cream. God damn, that would hurt my teeth. MAGA. Somebody's yelling about Trump. There's some more troops. Alright, where's the freaking parade, though? Oh, you can see the storm clouds gather, chat. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in this solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the valleys to the wait, what is it? From the mountains to the valleys to the oceans white with snow. Wait, why are the oceans white with snow? I think I'm mixing up the lyrics here. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street.
Oh, all the time the controversies will follow. So, but you need to focus on the good thing, what is happening around you. This is what I'm thinking about. Okay, yeah.
A good thing like spending $40 million on a man's ego. Yeah, that's the good things.
Yeah, God bless you. Yeah, thanks.
Like all reveling in Trump's narcissism together. Those are the good things. This is what the United States was about, right? The United States formed, chat, if you don't know, because we wanted a king, and England wouldn't let us have one.
I don't know, baby. Okay.
We wanted a singular figure to control everything. No congressional oversight.
Well, I think the 250th birthday of the Army is very, very significant.
No judicial review. Just one man giving orders and the rest of us following. That's what we fought for. That was the independence.
And I think it's very
the war for independence.
Have that kind of a celebration. It is a big deal as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't get my.
Yeah, just ask them in North Korea. They think it's a big deal too, right?
So we will watch the parade from home. Not only because, I'm a senior citizen, we can head back. But anyway, thank you very much for being here.
Well, he came for the good part, right? That was the good part of the parade. Let's see, when's the actual parade, though? Oh, there we go. Speaking of Benjamin Franklin, here he is, chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Franklin, our founding father, our founding uncle, our creepy uncle. While the United States fighting men and women were fighting for our independence, chat, he was off in France, diddling the women.
He's coming back?
Yeah, he's probably not just the women, though. We are talking about Benjamin Franklin here.
Service said you can't wait over there in the shade because that's the area to check baggage for
all right, so
contraband.
can you tell me why you're...
They don't want to have another incident like in Pennsylvania.
A couple of things.
You get a bunch of hogs together, one of them's liable to take a shot at the president.
The history of our country, every country has or should have some kind of flag, and it's a representation of, what, them or part of or a good portion of their history. I mean, might have some Egyptian flags that go back several thousand.
Go back to the pharaohs. Yeah, that's right. The Egyptian flag.
Representing what they.
We don't have a pharaoh.
What they believe in.
We have a king, King Trump.
Also, it just so happened.
That's what we fought for our independence, so that we could be under the rulership of a king.
But he's still pretty sharp. He hasn't faded out like Joe.
Oh, what's the other guy? He hasn't faded out. No,
So
he can't remember shit. But yeah, no.
Also, coming up to events like this.
No, chat. He's not got dementia, right? He does the weave.
50,000.
He's just doing the weave.
Responsible.
We get to the goddamn.
We're really looking forward to him growing up that way. And what do you think about this celebration? Like responsible, scared, but I know that he's going to get great training, and I know that he's going to come out like a responsible adult.
Okay, that's that. Yeah. Have the army raise your child for you. That's a great idea, ma'am. That's a great idea. All right, so here we go.
I'm not gonna make it.
Okay, so that's where the parade's gonna take place. Oh, geez, chat. You see how it's starting to get dark?
Davy Cliff super chatted $9.99. Flags were literally popularized in the Dutch Revolt in the 1600s. This moronic hog pretending to like history.
No, you don't understand, Davy. You don't understand. The Egyptians, they have the pyramids and the pharaoh in their flag because their flag dates back for 1,000 years, right? But so the reason that it's getting so dark, chat, is that a thunderstorm rolled in here. Where is the parade? Okay, there's some cops on bikes. I want the parade though. Okay, now we got some music at least. But anyway, there's a thunderstorm coming in. That's why they had to move everything up. Wow, they put music on it because it's so boring. We gotta mute their music and put on our music. Come on, where is the wait, there's something. Is that the president? Is that Melania? There we go, chat. There's something interesting. I believe that's the royal carriage right there. Car Force One. Our big, beautiful president. There he goes, folks. There he goes. All right, so I guess, is stuff gonna start now? Oh, here we go, here we go. Anybody else notice how like our national iconography on that stage is starting to look more and more like a Proud Boys shirt? Oh, come on. Where is the actual... Oh, there we go. There's something. There's Hegseth. Let's see if he can hold his liquor for this one. Hopefully he won't vomit. That man is incredibly drunk at all times. So there's the artillery. Whenever a Trump crowd doesn't know what to say, they just go, USA, USA, USA.
America, would you please rise for the singing of our national anthem?
Wait. Is the national anthem going to be the Proud to Be Your Boy? Proud to... I think they're trying to do like a Disney parade.
Can you see?
I think we all know how the first stanza goes. We'll leave the other stanzas out of the equation for now. All right, there we go. Land of the free, home of the brave. Oh my gosh, she's still holding that note. She's still holding that note. Amazing. Okay, so here we go, chat. Now, if you don't know...
Before we even had a country, we had an army.
Glenn Youngkin.
A small, unorganized group of shop owners and farmers, but they fought the most powerful army in the entire world to a standstill.
Yeah, so that they could have a king one day. They wanted to have King Trump.
Concord,
England wouldn't let us have the king.
Lexington, and Bunker Hill.
Then our Continental Congress chose George Washington as general of our Continental Army.
But it wasn't until 1 year later, on July 4th, 1776, that news arrived of the signing of our Declaration of Independence.
Now we had a new army and a new nation.
Keep this sweaty asshole in mind, right? He may be a candidate in 2028. That's Glenn Youngkin from Virginia.
With little gunpowder, no shoes, bloody feet, few cannons, little training, and even less food.
They didn't even have CrossFit.
Wars started in December. They went into winter camp in December of 1777.
American Army.
All make his move. Cannon range.
So you're going to see, in addition to the troops, chat, you're going to see, in addition to the troops, Trump has commissioned several costuming supply stores to create uniforms that go all throughout American history, all throughout the history of our armed forces, right? And that's really the highlight of this. This is Trump's, if you don't know, Trump is a zesty guy, all right? He likes show tunes. He likes costumes, right? He likes, he's a reality, television host, right? That's his deal, right? So he's commissioned these costume shops to create uniforms of the United States Armed Forces from the Continental Army prior to the Declaration of Independence, all the way to all the way to now, or all the way till the War on Terror, the great that we're all so proud of, that we responded to an attack on our soil, on the soul of the nation, from from Saudi people and from CIA asset Osama bin Laden. We responded to that by striking out against Iraq, and which had actually nothing to do with any of that. And we spent billions of dollars, lost tens of thousands of lives, killed millions of Iraqis, and I think we can all agree that that was a great success. Even though we didn't win the war, we also lost in Afghanistan. Anyway, chat, this is
has now become the most powerful army in the world.
Very different from that army here at Yorktown. But one thing remains the same. An undying passion, guts, and love for our country remains deep in the heart.
This is a fucking recruitment commercial, chat. Where is the actual parade? When does the parade happen? Oh my God, that's embarrassing.
Part of today's Army. When I look into their faces, you can see it. That will never change. God bless the United States.
Yeah. So, anyway, we spent $30,000 to $40,000 on this event while military veterans suffer and die in the streets of America. While the Trump administration cuts veteran services, right? But don't worry, chat. We've got $30 million to spend on this shit. Waste, fraud, and abuse we got to root out, but we definitely need to pay for this. This is a good investment. This is your tax dollars at work here. I don't know what's going on because this was supposed to be a parade, and we saw like everything but an actual parade. Does Reuters just suck? Yeah, there's Trump. There's music. There's a stage. I am tempted to look and see if somebody else has the parade for us. That is so pathetic. 10 hours of footage. And when I type in military parade, it comes up first, military parade Russia, military parade China, military parade North Korea, military parade Washington, D.C. All right, let's see if we... Viewer discretion advised? Fox literally had a viewer discretion advised on this, right? All right, so yeah, there's the... I think this is the... wait, no? Okay, that's a parade. That's what we're looking for. There we go. This is what I was telling you about, all right? So this is, I think, the most interesting part. Wait, why do they have the red coats? What? What's going on here? All right, they ended. They must have just like run out of I don't know, chat. I don't know why Reuters is usually pretty good. All right, so here we go. I think this is the actual parade. There we go. Are you ready? Are you feeling patriotic? You should be, chat. This is the twilight of the American Empire. You should be feeling very, very patriotic. Look at that, the flag's in his face. Oh no, chat. If you're gonna do this shit, if you're gonna march soldiers through the street, you gotta have like precision drills. You can tell that the United States military is generally for fighting, not for marching, not for showing off, in other words, because traditionally, the U.S. military has been, for the last, I don't know, like 100 years, the United States military has been the, strongest fighting force, more or less. And so there was no need to show off. But as you can tell, chat, something has changed in America. We are not what we used to be. And it's correlated with Donald Trump's entrance onto the political scene.
It is officially underway. Up first, internationally renowned as one of the world's finest professional music organizations, the United States Army Band Marching Zone. They are the premier music organization of the U.S. Army, our nation's most senior service. Stationed at Joint Base
See, like the
Henderson Hall, Virginia, it plays an important musical role in events of national and international significance.
The Army band knows how to march because that's what they do. They're for show. They're for ceremony, right?
Bruce R. Pulver and drum major Rob Moore.
Now, are these are the okay? So no, if I like look these the dudes that are dressed in historic uniforms, they're not troops. All right, these are people that were hired and put in costumes that Trump had commissioned. This is what he spent your tax money on, right? Commissioning different Army uniforms throughout the year and putting them on actors and having those actors who apparently are kind of better at marching than the military. Because like I told you, the U.S. military is about fighting. It's not like this, you know, the showmanship is not, you know, their wheelhouse exactly, right? So they hired actors to portray the, you know, historical military. I can't tell though.
John J. Pershing. They're led today by Colonel Bruce R. Pulver and drum major Rob Moore. Today, Pershing's Own is playing a melody entitled "The Army Goes Rolling Along." This was actually written in 1908 by the then Lieutenant Edmund Lewis.
Play Bridge Over the River Kwai,
which was a descendant of Franz Gruber, who composed Silent Night. It was originally written to be the 5th Artillery Regimental song.
Oh my God, shut up.
The unit was
I want to see the historical military. Come on.
Unknown Soldier, while also conducting
the Unknown Soldier
funeral services honoring our fallen heroes in Arlington National Cemetery. The regiment's 50 campaign streamers stand as a testament to. In 1775, the shot heard round the.
There we go. Okay, this is what we're here for.
Sparked a revolution.
What the fuck was that outfit though?
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard.
Wait, were they booing the Old Guard for some reason? What?
In 1775, the shot heard round.
Is that supposed to be George Washington, I guess?
And Concord sparked a revolution, uniting 13 colonies and forging a.
There we go, chat. This is the cool part.
Against the odds, they turned the tide at Trenton and Saratoga, survived Valley Forge, and at Yorktown forced a British surrender, securing independence and giving birth to the United States of America.
Okay, so we also got the Redcoats here. Yeah, we got they're playing the.
Davy Cliff super chatted $9.99. Which Civil War army they repping, gray or blue?
Right. Well, we've got the Redcoats here, chat. We got the Redcoats here. Again, Trump has no sense of self-awareness. Trump and Trumpism represents more what the United States broke away from in the Revolutionary War than what the United States pretends to be as a force for justice
Fifes and drums carried commands across the chaos
on the world stage.
Soldiers went to advance, treat, eat, even went to rest. That legacy actually lives on today with the U.S. Army Fife and Drum Corps, part of the 3rd Infantry Regiment known as the Old Guard. Founded back in 1960, they're the only unit of their kind in the armed forces. Performing in uniform.
Wait, Chad, am I wrong?
Those worn by General Washington's musicians. Playing period instruments.
Why were they wearing... Okay, that's maybe who he's talking about.
The sound and spirit of the revolution through more than...
There's George Washington.
Each year, both at home and...
It may be Steven Crowder, chat. I'm not sure.
Everybody.
If it's Steven Crowder, then we're going to be treated to some his rap stylings. We all know that Steven Crowder likes to dress up.
High above, ladies and gentlemen.
Speaking of playing dress up,
your United
there's
States
Donald.
Parachute team, the Golden Knights. Descending at over 120 miles an hour, the Golden Knights are using flexible wing gliders to maintain their formation. They open their...
Wait, why are they not showing the gold? I want to see the Golden Knights.
Negotiate the softest possible landing.
Golden Knights. Show us the Golden Knights.
I tell you, they can't hear you, but they sure can see you. You can give them a great...
And they can probably smell you. Because you are hogs.
Parachuting team in the world.
There they are. There's the Golden Knights. Not all knights wear armor. Some knights have parachutes. What? Oh, are they okay? What's going on? What is it? That doesn't look good. What's going on there? Are they smoking? Okay, these are the Golden Knights.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Oh no, are they okay?
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists.
I mean, that looks like fun, doesn't it?
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
I mean, it's not exactly very orderly or precision. I mean, they don't know how to do a military parade, right? And look, I'm not bitching. We shouldn't be doing a military parade. We shouldn't be wasting money on this. We shouldn't be showing off our armed forces because that actually projects weakness more than it projects strength. But if you're gonna do it right.
Among them, 5.
Okay, so now we got the Civil War soldiers.
Recipients of a brand new.
And to answer your question, Davy,
with Independence
we do have the North represented.
Guarding settlers as native scouts lit the way.
We got Billy Yank in the house.
Buffalo soldiers etched a legacy of grit and honor across the American frontier.
Yes, the Buffalo Soldiers, famous for their grit.
As they march by a soldier's uniform.
Now there's some real troops right there. These are the troops from today.
50s official regulations outline distinct looks shaping the Army's identity and function across the force. Soldiers were issued 2 coats. One, a short sack coat for work and battle with brass buttons. And
they're not doing a good job.
Well, by war's end, that rugged sack coat became the soldier's uniform of choice. As the war escalated.
Okay, there's our Golden Knights.
Congress
was that a POW MIA flag? Chat, no way. What? No way.
The soldier's uniform of choice. As the war escalated.
What? Is that what I see? Chat, do you know about this flag? Oh my God, I gotta show you this. Okay, look.
Volunteer enlistment surged. Congress authorized support for a force of up to 500,000 new troops, answering the call to preserve the Union. As they representing the Civil War era of our nation's history is the 4th Infantry Division based out of Fort Carson, Colorado.
So yeah, look, this is the flag that you just saw. The POW MIA flag. It has a very interesting history, right? One in chat if you've seen this before, right? POW MIA. What this is about is the Vietnam era, right? In Vietnam, the United States lost to a much smaller country because they wanted to be free. They wanted to break away. They'd been colonized since the 1800s, first by France, then by the Japanese, then by the United States, right? They had been under the thumb of other countries for like years and years and years, right? So the United States, you know, they napalmed Vietnam. They used Agent Orange to destroy the jungle and the crops and to ultimately give children birth defects. The United States tried everything they could. Like they were like these strategic hamlets, right? Where they'd be like, okay, if you're a villager, you got to live in this strategic hamlet because we can't have the Viet men mixing in with you. That's what they're actually called, chat. You might have heard the name Viet Cong, but they were called the Viet Men. That was their name for themselves, right? These were the patriots of Vietnam. These were the people fighting for the independence of their country, and they won. They beat us. They beat the United States colonial power, and we got the fuck out of Dodge, right? Nixon wanted some kind of withdrawal with dignity, or maybe, and they didn't get that. They got a nightmare where the North Vietnamese were coming into Ho Chi Minh City, is what it's now called. Back then, it was called Saigon, and they were trying to airlift like all the collaborators, right? All the Vietnamese people that in the eyes of their countrymen were traitors because they'd worked with us, right? That's like somebody that worked with the British during the Revolutionary War. You don't want to leave that person in the colonies, right? If you're, if you're Britain and you give a fuck about them, you take them back to Britain. And that's what the United States did. So the United States lost and lost badly, showed itself to be a paper tiger in Vietnam. And there were captives. There were people that were taken prisoner of war by the North Vietnamese, right? The facility that the North Vietnamese would keep American soldiers in was known colloquially as the Hanoi Hilton. Very unpleasant place to be. You can just ask John McCain. And so after the war, right, there was a conspiracy theory that developed that the Vietnamese were holding on to American soldiers. There were soldiers left behind, right? And that the United States government had just been like, oh no, fine. Actually, we like the Vietnamese now. Yeah, keep our soldiers, right? Right. I don't know. It's fucking brainworms, right? But that's what this flag was about. For decades after the Vietnam War, there were a bunch of old coot conspiracy theorists waving this flag around saying we got to get our POWs and MIAs out of Vietnam. And there's no evidence that there were people there. You know what there were? There were dead American soldiers there. There were people that went to fight for their country and died a miserable fucking death. And they were convinced that somehow these people are still alive. We can get them back. If only our damn liberal government of Ronald Reagan will, it's just ridiculous shit. That's what you just saw there. I don't know what that thing was doing there. I feel like this is a flag from a different time period, right? Let me read you what Wikipedia has about this. All right. The National League of Families POW MIA flag, often referred to as the POW MIA flag, adopted in 1972, consists of the official emblem of the National League of Families of American Prisoners and missing in Southeast Asia in white on a black background. In 2019, the National POW MIA flag was signed into law. The Flag Act? Oh no. Requiring the POW MIA flag to be flown on certain federal properties included. So this is Trump 1 that this happened, right? This is what happens when you let a reality star run your country. You get a conspiracy fucking theory signed into law. Anyway, including the U.S. Capitol building on all days, the U.S. flag is flown. The flag symbolizes support and care for soldiers, airmen, sailors who served the United States in the Vietnam War, especially those who endured capture by the enemy. They are bearing the lead here, right? This flag was not about, it sucks that, American servicemen were mistreated in Vietnam, right? I mean, given the fact that you're burning their babies with napalm, given the fact that you're poisoning their fucking soil with Agent Orange, yeah, I mean, I would expect that. I would expect that you don't get the warmest welcome in the Hanoi Hilton when John McCain's plane gets shot the fuck down, right? Oh my God. So there it is, POW MIA flag. I want to see something. Like, was there anybody, could there have been like one or two soldiers that like, I don't know that there was ever like anybody that was okay, so this is just literally about the flag. I'm curious more about the movement. I don't know, chat. This might not be the time for a deep dive, but that's a weird thing to see. That's a weird thing to see. Yeah, this wasn't about commemorating the captivity of people like John McCain, right? This wasn't about, the soldiers that were actually held captive and then, were returned as part of the agreement that Richard Nixon signed when he basically with Vietnam. This is brainworms. I wonder, there's probably people that still think that there are American POWs being held in Vietnam. I'm about to go to Vietnam, so I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I run into any American service members that are being held captive there. Okay, so what do we got here? A wagon train of some kind? What I'm most interested in is the military uniforms that Trump commissioned and the actors that he hired to play historic eras of the U.S. They're like those guys, right? That's the... so my understanding, these guys are actors.
From Port Cavazos, Texas, home of legends, the 1st Cavalry Division rides with pride. Born from the thunder of horse cavalry traditions of the Civil War, the 1st team forged its reputation on the front lines of history. They stormed Manila with the flying column, charged into Pyongyang as the first to breach the line and face the brutal crucible.
Storm Manila, that was part of the Spanish-American War?
Of Ia Drang, the first of 13 named campaigns in Vietnam.
And Pyongyang, yeah, that's another disastrous war. God damn, the United States has been eating L's ever since World War II, right? Eating massive L's from both the North Koreans and the Chinese in the Korean conflict, which was, I think, what they called it until they admitted it was a war.
Now, where they proved their mettle.
McNamara has to go down as one of the worst war criminals in history. Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll know them by their iconic cav hats, elite soldiers, and cutting-edge equipment. Tough, fit, fearless. The 1st Cavalry Division is a lethal, disciplined force that stands ready to fight and win anywhere, anytime. And the legacy rides on. This is the Cav.
So, I don't know, what are they juxtaposing these historical units with their, like, modern... They do have a cavalry. I think it's, like, Bradley's, is that right? Like, don't they have, like, units that they call cavalry, but obviously they're not on horses anymore?
Special thanks to our sponsor, Lockheed Martin.
Special thanks to Lockheed Martin. There we go. So there's one of the sponsors. Now, chat, you're going to see one of the other sponsors is a crypto sponsor. Wondering if the particular parachuter was from Maryland. Oh, the other flag. All right, let's see what we got.
Culminate in the outbreak of the First World War.
Okay, so we're going through the years.
Defined by opposing trenches, barbed wire, poison gas, and mass casualties. The United States initially maintained its neutrality, but was eventually drawn into the conflict in 1917. Despite having less than 130,000 soldiers at the beginning, the Army eventually grew to over 4 million, with nearly 2 million soldiers serving in Europe. In 6 months of fighting, nearly 50,000 Americans lost their lives, with another 190,000 wounded. The guns fell silent with the armistice of November 11, 1918.
Yeah, World War I, a very important and sometimes forgotten war. The infamous piece of which would
with more USA World War
set up the Second World War.
This 1918 Dodge touring car was part of the legendary 1919 Transcontinental Convoy. 3,251 miles and 62 grueling days across the Lincoln Highway. And remember, no pavement, no GPS, and no power steering. Just grit, determination, and the drive to push Army mobility into the future.
They have a radio at least?
Help pave the way for the roads we rely on today, and reminds us when the Army moves, the nation follows. The 1918 Dodge touring car.
What? It sounds like they're... This feels like a commercial. I mean, it is kind of a recruitment commercial, if we're being honest. Over there.
Headquartered in New York.
Come on, you gotta play Long Road to Cincinnati.
At the start of World War I, the 42nd Infantry Division was formed with troops from 27 National Guard units, stretching across the country like...
Uh-oh, chat, that's a rainbow. Uh-oh. That's an illegal symbol in today's army. Don't let Hedseth see that rainbow.
Primarily a musical one, the members were ordered into active federal service back in 2004 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The band is also serving
Operation Iraqi Freedom. That's something to be proud of, right?
cleanup efforts following Hurricane Sandy, distribution support during COVID-19, and recently support for New York State Corrections. Commanded by Chief Warrant Officer 2 Ethan Wagner and led by Drum Major Sergeant First Class Drew Gans, the band is performing Over There, written in 1917 by Broadway composer and recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal George M. Cohan.
Did they have to alter that rainbow to take out some colors just so people wouldn't think they were signaling towards pride?
You'll notice the unit is wearing replica World War I uniforms signifying the soldiers who served our nation during this time. When the Americans entered the Great War, our soldiers under the command of General Blackjack Pershing hit the trenches in the new standard. It was the olive drab winter service uniform. Now on their heads you'll see a steel helmet with sand-textured paint built to deflect deadly shrapnel from above. Not bulletproof, but battle tough. Nicknamed the Pershing boot, on their feet was the M918, 1918 French boot. It was designed to survive the brutal grind of trench warfare. And on their backs, the field pack, rations, ammo, first aid, and a gas mask. Everything a doughboy needed to fight and to win. Incidentally, the 42nd Infantry Division was deployed to heavy combat abroad and then deployed again in World War II, ultimately liberating the Dachau concentration camp. The 42nd responded to the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Later, with the war on terrorism, the rainbow stretched across the world again, deploying in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thundering into view, the pride of Fort Sill, the U.S. Army Artillery.
Don't say pride.
This is literally powered by horsepower and heritage. This elite ceremonial
Don't say gay.
is the legacy of the Army's horse-drawn artillery. With precision, discipline, and 6 majestic horses pulling a vintage 1918 caisson, the half section keeps tradition alive and rolling strong. Representing the power, pride, and precision of America's field artillery, this is Fort Sill's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Special thanks.
Oh, there we go.
Form Energy.
You gotta thank our sponsor.
World War II, a global fight for freedom. In history's darkest hour, the United States Army was on the front lines. From the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Pacific, the greatest generation faced down tyranny and turned the tide.
So we're at the World War II era.
Fighters to transports, U.S. Army aircraft started to thunder across the skies in World War II. And take a look up there, ladies and gentlemen. Flying overhead right now. They are fast, they are fierce, and famously used in the Doolittle raid over Tokyo. Leading up front, the mighty B-25 Mitchell.
Is it the firebombing of Tokyo that we're talking about?
Up next, the Cadillac of the sky, the P-51 Mustang. From the sky, we're back down on the ground. In World War II, one vehicle led the charge, the legendary quarter-ton 4x4 command recon vehicle, the Jeep. You might have it in your driveway, but not like this.
Not like this.
Truck quarter-ton 4x4 command reconnaissance, better known as the Jeep, was an iconic vehicle of World War II and was the world's first mass-produced four-wheel drive vehicle. The Army used the Jeep for almost every military activity, including command vehicles, scout cars, and medical ambulances. Fast, rugged, the Jeep became a symbol of American ingenuity.
And the inspiration for Trump's favorite vehicle, the golf cart.
From Fort Bragg, North Carolina, this is the 82nd Airborne Ceremonial Band. The 82nd received the nickname All-Americans after a contest as it represented the diverse origins of its members from every state. This name remains today symbolized by their iconic AA patch. Fort Bragg's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a big round of applause, the 82nd Airborne Ceremonial Band.
I'm amazed that they got Pete Hegseth to put his cell phone away, right? You'd think he'd be in a signal chat right now giving away the U.S. war plans.
But now they're a freaking communist invading radicals.
These are the World War II uniforms. My understanding is that
but now they're a freaking communist
in a global
invading
fight
radicals.
like World War II, the U.S. Army knew our troops needed more than courage. They needed innovation. Uniforms evolved for every environment, but
it's all about the uniforms. Trump's like obsessed with fashion.
The Army introduced 2 battlefield essentials.
He truly is a zesty king.
Built to protect under fire, and the M1 Garand rifle, powerful and fast, it gave American troops a very clear edge. General George S. Patton called the M1 rifle the
Patton
implement ever designed, and history proved him right. The 82nd Airborne Division. The unit is best known for their bravery on D-Day, when 12,000 parachute and glider troops destroyed German supply lines after fighting for 33 days straight. The 101st Airborne Division, based out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, traces its lineage back to 1918 when it first established as the 101st Division. Known for their ability to rapidly deploy across the world, the unit has held...
Again, chat, you can tell that these soldiers are not drilling marching, right? They're not... If you want to have a military parade, right?
In the 50s, the Screaming Eagles...
Like all the dictatorships that do that shit, right?
For civil rights. In recent decades, they've been set across...
All the petty tyrants that want to flex like that, right?
Part in Operation Desert Storm.
You got to have...
In the war on terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Screaming Eagles continue to lead...
The whole point of this activity is to look coordinated, right? And you can tell that this is, this is like, look, to give the United States military credit, it is built for fighting. It is not drilled for military parades like this, because the United States is literally got the biggest military, the strongest military, as Kamala Harris would say, the most lethal military
nicknamed the Sherman tank after Civil War General William
in the world.
Actually, it was named by the British with almost 50.
And they don't have time for that shit.
World War II. The Sherman tank was in active service until 1957. In World War II, the M16 half-track was a force to be reckoned with. It was a self-propelled anti-aircraft weapon with speed, firepower, and grit. Nicknamed the Meat Chopper, its quad 50 caliber mount could unleash 2,300 rounds a minute. Quite devastating. It served through Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, and remains in use in U.S. allies to this day. The M16 half-track brings the fight wherever it rolls.
Why do you focus so much on parade marching? Because if you're going to do a military parade, the idea is, look, chat, we shouldn't be doing this, all right? It's a waste of money. The United States doesn't have shit to prove. They're the strongest military in the world, okay? But if you're going to flex like this, every dictatorship knows that you would spend days and days and days drilling your armed forces on how to do it right, on how to do it coordinated, right? That's the point.
World War II.
Trump isn't even doing his dictator shit right. Like, right? He's literally failed at everything he's ever done. Everything he's ever touched, including this country, turns to shit. And it's just kind of pathetic. It's kind of pathetic. He throws a birthday party, nobody comes. This is the, you know, fucking empty seats all around, right? This is a pathetic event, and the thing that he's trying to do, which is present a military parade which inspires fear in our enemies, right? That's the idea. If you're gonna do one of those parades, right? If you're that insecure that you need to be like, we have a very tough military and it will defeat you if you even mess with it, right? If you're gonna do that, then you know you've got to make it look impressive, right? If you're trying to scare other nations, if you're trying to flex, then
Chinese offensives in the spring.
You got to do it right. Which you shouldn't want to do, right? Is the point, right? This is
until the armistice was signed 2 years later in 1953. Combat consisted of small attacks, raids, and patrolling. During this war, the United States deployed approximately 6.8.
Do I need to show you other dictatorships' military parades to convince you that ours is subpar? That Trump's attempt to flex is actually a display of weakness? I think that much is evident to most of you, right? There may be a few chuds in Shorts chat that just don't. Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I said, chat. There's people walking around with their heads up their ass. There we go, Coinbase. Yes, crypto. Yes, that's what the U.S. That's what we're all about now. Crypto, Coinbase. Brought to you by Coinbase.
Narwhal _ super chatted $10. In the words of another great woman, if you want to get rowdy, and think you're about it, witch, then do it. But don't be weak sauce.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get across. Yeah, but I mean, look. You shouldn't want this. You shouldn't want this, right? But there we go. Look, it's working now, chat. I don't know why it wasn't working earlier. It is working now. Now I can show your super chat. So get them in if you want to. Does anybody have an Abacus account for me?
Replacing the famed World War II Jeep.
When Pride parades outdo this, says Ophelia, it's going to be funny as hell. God.
1961. Officially named the Military Utility Tactical Truck, or MUT, most servicemen generally referred to it as a Jeep. The vehicle spanned more than 40 years in 4 manufacturers and were everywhere that the Army was deployed.
Oh my God, what is this? This is what I'm saying. Yeah, in the words of another great woman, if you want to get rowdy, and you think you're about it, which, then do it. But don't be weak sauce. You got a fucking dude with bad posture, not super fit, driving a goddamn... I mean, they said it's a mutt, not a Jeep, so I'll call it the correct name, but like who is this for? Who is this intimidating? Who's like, oh no, they got the guy with they're gonna send the guy with bad posture after us. Damn. They're gonna send their incredibly unfit military service members after us. If we mess with America, we better not do that. What the fuck is this?
Another rolled by earlier, and at 2.5 tons, this deuce and a half, the M35A2 classic military.
You're definitely dropping a deuce.
Mainstay of the U.S. Army for decades, particularly during.
You're dropping a big old stinky deuce.
The deuce and a half proved its value.
The deuce and a half.
Supplies and soldiers. Its capabilities include up to 5,000 pounds off-road and 10,000 pounds on-road, making it ideal for moving just about anything.
Who wrote that? Was this written by AI?
In the jungles of Vietnam, the U.S. Army faced a new kind of war. Helicopters became the new workhorses of battle, delivering troops, firepower, and supplies into some of the most unforgiving terrain on Earth. This is the U.S. Army in Vietnam, the era of air mobility, fierce firefights, and unwavering brotherhood.
How did that war go again? I'm trying to remember. Who won that war? Anybody in chat know? U.S. versus Vietnam, small little country in Southeast Asia. Who won?
The staccato beat of the rotor blades was a welcome sound to many troops. mired in combat.
It was not a welcome sound to the civilian population of Vietnam.
The fight to the front and pulled the wounded to safety. The OH-6 Cayuse scouted the terrain with unmatched agility. The AH-1 Cobra, also nicknamed the Snake, brought serious firepower. Its slim design, as you can see here, helped it survive and thrive in hostile environments to protect.
Wait, just a second, chat. I think there's something missing. All right, look. I feel like we're not doing this right. If they're not going to do it right, what do we have? We gotta, like, if we're gonna have like helicopters, right? We gotta do it right. All right, here we go. There we go, chat. What did I do? There we go. That's how it should be. If you want to do a military parade, you got to do it right. If you want to inspire fear in the hearts of the rest of the world that we are an out of control, overgrown, hegemonic pariah state that does not give a fuck. You got to bring out the Wagner. Even changing the music makes this slightly more effective for whatever the fuck they're trying to do with this military parade. Whatever. Oh no. Oh no, chat. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but these troops don't have not these troops have not earned this song. All right, this is gonna have to be. I mean, that's one way to do it. No, I'm thinking more like that's the army. That's the U.S. military. That's the U.S. empire right there.
First contingent of U.S. Army advisors arrived in Vietnam in the late 1950s.
Oh my God.
That quickly grew to a small team of around 100 soldiers, which then expanded to more than 600 over the next.
Do you really want to tell this story?
Troops numbers quickly grew as the war between the
Oh my God, chat. Now these may be the actors. These don't look like.
Intensified. By January 1969, more than 364,000.
These don't look like guys that passed basic. I'm sorry.
20 separate combat brigades. The United States began withdrawing its forces in July of 1969, and the last Army combat unit left South Vietnam in August of 71. The last U.S. combat soldier came home March 1973, while a small number of non-combat personnel remained until April 1975.
How dare he forget our POWs and MIAs that were still being held by the evil communist Vietnamese government, that are still there.
The War era is the 101st Airborne Division based out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The unit is wearing replica Vietnam War uniforms signifying the soldiers who served our nation.
Okay, I see how it goes. So some of these historical units that you're seeing are
the Army, they delivered.
Some of them are actors, right? That's why you saw the guys that are in no way have passed basic training. Right? These are the actual troops.
Reloads in combat. Body armor got smarter, jackets and trousers got lighter, and field equipment was reimagined to meet the mission head on. Gone were the heavy Mickey Mouse boots, replaced by canvas tropical combat boots that offered better grip, faster drying, and all-day endurance.
11 men will turn today, but only 3 are the Green Beret.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Oracle.
Oh! Tech Bros rule you, chat, in case you forgot. They call it the United States, but it's really more like the United Tech Bros, the United... Gulf War, there we go. So yeah, like I said earlier, Vietnam left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. That was an unambiguous defeat, even more so than Korea, right? In Korea, the United States got all the way up to right next to China before the Chinese came in and pushed them back. The Chinese and the North Koreans defeated the American army, pushing them back to I think it's the 45th parallel, right? But South Korea did remain some kind of weird dictatorship, you know, satellite state of the United States. South Vietnam, on the other hand, fell, was completely overtaken by the North Vietnamese. The Vietnamese had had enough of being colonized, just like the United States had had enough of being a colony of England, right? The Vietnamese were done with that shit, right? They pushed the Americans out of South Vietnam, right? The people that remained that they were talking about had to be airlifted out of Saigon.
Infantry Division, one of the Army's most storied divisions. Nicknamed the Big Red One because of the distinctive red on...
God, that's a Vietnam reference.
As the oldest continuously serving division in the U.S. Army, the unit has participated in every major operation since World War I.
But yeah, chat, the United States fucked Southeast Asia up before they left Vietnam, right? They were doing bombings in Laos and in Cambodia, which actually destabilized Cambodia to the point where a new contingent took over. This is called the Khmer Rouge, right? Which did a genocide on their country, a very confused genocide that was supposed to be about...
Medal of Honor. In Washington, D.C., the 1st Division Monument stands in
class, I guess. But in practice, chat,
ladies and gentlemen, they are the
Pol Pot,
the 1st Infantry Division.
Pol Pot never understood what the fuck communism even was. It was just this confused mess, and it turned into an absolute like bloodbath, right? They call it the killing fields for a reason. And Vietnam had to go in there and clean up the United States' mess after they left.
Fighting vehicle proved its value on the battlefield. It is fast, it is tough, and it is lethal. Named for General Omar Bradley, a leader for Point's famed class of 1916, the Bradley was built to carry troops into combat with protection and power. armed with a 25 millimeter chain driven.
But the whole point of the Gulf War, right? So now don't get this mixed up, right? There's the Iraq War in the 2000s, but in the 1990s there was a Gulf War, right? This was the one, you know, to supposedly liberate Kuwait, right? This war was against a former U.S. ally, that being Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was the United States asset against Iran, who was an enemy of the United States after they overthrew the puppet government of the Shah that the U.S. had placed in there, right? So Saddam was our guy. Saddam was armed by the U.S., and then he asked George H.W. Bush if it would be okay if he took over Kuwait, because those goddamn Kuwaitis have been slant drilling my oil, right? And essentially, he got the go-ahead. So after setting up their former ally, Saddam Hussein, bad guy, by the way, bad dude, right? The chemical weapons that Saddam had that he used on the Kurds, he got them from the United States, right? He was a bad guy, but he was our bad guy. And we let him know it's okay if you take over Kuwait. It's fine, right? The reason was that the U.S. wanted to prove a point. The U.S. wanted to show its citizenry that war could be good, right? And what better war to show that can be good than a war that you can't possibly lose? You know, Iraq ran from Kuwait, and on their way out, the U.S. committed a war crime against retreating troops. In the rules of, you know, international law, you're not supposed to attack retreating troops, right? I mean, if they're making a tactical retreat, that's Fetterman. That's the only... Wait, is it Fetterman? He looks different. Wait, no, is that Dana White? God damn it. Oh my God, it's Dana White. I'm sorry, it's Dana White. Look at this, listen to this squeaky. They need to oil these things. Again, there's nothing impressive about this. If you're gonna do this dictator shit, you're doing it wrong. But the idea of the Gulf War was to take the bad taste left in America's mouth by the Vietnam War out of our mouths, and to make us think that U.S. interventions abroad could be positive. And it's positive in the sense that the United States didn't lose, like, you know, thousands of soldiers, and the war ended pretty quickly, right? But George H.W. Bush, unlike his son, knew that he didn't need to prove anything after liberating Kuwait. Right? There's no point, in other words, of taking the war to Iraq itself and marching into Baghdad, right? So they stopped short.
As part of the buildup for World War II, cavalry and reconnaissance units.
And then George H.W. Bush lost the next election after being incredibly popular.
No division hit harder or moved faster than the First Armored. Old Ironsides really...
There was a rally around the flagpole effect that happened after during the Iraq War, where George H.W. Bush became incredibly popular. But then by the time the election rolled around again, people cared more about the economy. And they remembered that H.W. had promised not to establish any new taxes, right? He could not do that in a fiscally responsible way, so he ended up, you know, raising some taxes, and, you know, with you know, the fact that his most prominent campaign promise was a lie, and the, you know, economy being not great, and the entrance of H. Ross Perot as a third party candidate, George H.W. Bush lost. Now, his son, George W. Bush, noticed this and always blamed his dad's loss on the reticence to continue the war. In other words, he saw his dad go to war, get really popular, and then lose his popularity after the war ended. And he thought that had he continued the war, that, you know, maybe his dad would have won in 1992, right? So, you know, that's why when he got a chance, George W. Bush went apeshit all over the Middle East, right? The attack came from Saudi Arabians, okay? And yet the war was conducted in Afghanistan and Iraq. Afghanistan, you could make an argument. There was arrangements between the Taliban and Al Qaeda, but Iraq just had absolutely nothing to do with it. They claimed there were weapons of mass destruction and that it was imperative that the United States take those out. It turns out that there weren't weapons of mass destruction. I mean, there were. Iraq did have chemical weapons. Saddam Hussein did use chemical weapons on the Kurds, right? But those were chemical weapons given to him by the United States, circa the Iran-Iraq war. And by the time the Iraq war rolled around, he did not have weapons of mass destruction. So they are whitewashing a lot of foreign policy failure. And it is a bipartisan foreign policy failure, right? Not just Republicans. All right, so we're getting there, chat. We're getting there. I think, where are we at now? Like 2,000? USA. USA.
The M119 howitzer
Desert Storm. Oh no, we're still in the 90s.
Lighter and more mobile than larger artillery, it was built for the infantry brigade, able to fire high into the air or directly at the target depending on the mission. Whether used in battery formation or as a standalone support weapon, the M119 delivered reliable, responsible fire when it mattered most.
Reliable, responsible fire?
Including on the front lines
okay.
of Ukraine, it remains a trusted part of the Army's arsenal.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the history that we've gone over so far is history that most of us were not even alive for, right? We're talking about like 1990s.
UFC.
UFC. UFC. I can't believe I thought that Dana White was John Fetterman. I was like, oh, look, there's Fetterman. No, Dana White looks 1,000 times better than Fetterman. Fetterman is a mess. Honestly, I'd be surprised if Fetterman wasn't at this event somewhere. There's not a lot of Congress stuck around for this weekend. Like, a lot of them left town. Even the Republicans. I think there's only 6 or so. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
The Pentagon in Washington, D.C. using commercial airliners. In response, the U.S. launched the global war on terrorism. The U.S. will stop potential threats around the world and take the fight to terrorist groups and the nations that back them.
Except for Saudi fucking Arabia.
To destroy Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda terrorist.
Except for Saudi Arabia. Jesus Christ, the actual source for the attacks. No, we're not. We're going to leave them alone. No, we're going to go to Afghanistan. We're going to go to Iraq.
Organization and depose his sponsors, the ruling Taliban. The 2003 President Bush expanded the war to Iraq. Soldiers and other armed services.
Are you going to explain that one?
Dictator Saddam Hussein. The fight to stabilize Iraq and prevent terrorist groups from overthrowing its new government.
No! You allowed terrorist groups like ISIS to rise up. The effect of the United States conducting the war in Iraq was the ascent of ISIS. You literally created terrorism where there was none. Like Saddam Hussein, say what you will about him, he's a really bad guy. He was our guy, remember? You know, he was America's guy in the Iran-Iraq war. But yeah, no, he wasn't a state sponsor of terrorism. That's just a straight up lie.
To this day, the campaign in Afghanistan lasted until 2021 when U.S. forces withdrew and the Taliban returned to power. Over the course of the 2-decade conflict, over 2 million servicemen and women Less percent of the American population deployed in support of the global war on terrorism. Most of those who served were members.
So yeah, chat. The Afghanistan war lasted from, I don't know, like early 2000s to, what did they say? 2022. The plan was to withdraw troops under Trump. Trump made the plans, but he didn't have the guts to execute those plans because he knew it was going to be a messy withdrawal. He knew that whatever you did in Afghanistan, it was going to go back to the Taliban. And so he left that part undone. Joe Biden withdrew the troops, and yeah, you got the Taliban back in power. The United States spent billions of dollars on that war and, you know, achieved very little.
Of the United States Army.
Funny enough, Osama bin Laden was actually taken prisoner in Pakistan, where he was for most of that war. What you're starting to see here, I'm gonna mute this. Barracuda, did Hart? See, there's a whole history of like Trump using music of bands that don't like him, and them being like, "Mr. Trump, please never use our music again." I would guess that Hart might be one of those bands. There's JD Vance. I want to see Fetterman. Is anybody seen Fetterman? I gotta think that Fetterman's there somehow.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
All right. Nope, we're still playing There we go. Look, chat, I would love to I love Hart as much as the next girl, but we got to stick to copyright free stuff. Here comes the tanks. Chat, what is it that they call supporters of regimes like the old Soviet Union or what is that name that they call those people? People that are super fans of the Soviet Union, like they're communists, but they don't mind, you know, the kind of authoritarianism that was. They really like tanks. I can't remember what they're called though. The birthday sucked. It kind of did, yeah. Yeah, I guess we're the tankies now, chat. We're all tankies under Trump. Yeah, I think that makes us tankies. We're a nation of tankies. Look at that, we're tankies. I mean, look, our president's rolling in the armed forces into American cities to put down protests, all right? Oh, I didn't remember that I set the music to be extra loud. Let me take off the filter. Are we the tankies? Aren't tankies like guys who like aquariums? I mean, that's another kind of tanky for sure. Tankies are people who love wearing tank tops? Oh my god. Base Trump putting down riots? Frederick, they've made one arrest. Or sorry, it's not even an arrest. The Marines made one detention. Right? They didn't need them. There was nothing for them to do. They stood around. They twiddled their they stood around with their thumbs up their ass. Right? Trump didn't even have a place for the National Guard to sleep. The National Guard slept in office buildings, all right? On the floor, you know, on top of each other, because there wasn't even enough room in there. Right? There was no provisions for food, no provisions for water, no provisions for fuel, right? This is how Trump treats the troops. This is what he thinks of the troops. He thinks of them as losers. Average femcell? What are real femcells like, chat? I don't know any femcells. Aren't they like weird right-wing chicks who browse 4chan or something? Femcells? Anybody want to explain femcells to me? I missed the whole trend. Yo, Omega Star, thank you for the gift sub to Sidekick Starter. Sidekick Starter, you just got jellyfished. And that's a good thing. Somebody explain femcells to me. I don't understand. Also, do we have anybody that's got an abacus count? Because I've totally lost track. I think we're kind of closing in on two bonus topics. And we're gonna watch the we're gonna take a look at what's going on in LA after this. Yo, jellyfish and weasels together at last. They believe in gender roles? Wait, femcells do? Far more than they believe in themselves? What are femcells like? I barely understand incels. Hey, have a good night, Joshua Keller. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hitler at least gave his soldiers plywood beds, right? Yeah, yeah. Why are you getting this in your timeline? Because I'm fucking hot. Because I'm algorithmic catnip, okay? I hope you're okay with that. 153? Damn, we are closing in on possibly 2 bonus topics. Are femcells pick-me's? I don't know. They like don't have sex somehow. Both femcels and incels are people who never learned that being shocking isn't cool or impressive. You got to find me some femcel content, chat. I don't think I understand. I don't think I understand femcels at all. I would love to understand femcels. Maybe we could even hang out with some. My bestie graduated from the local police force and they marched thousands of times better than this. Look, I'm not a fan of war. I'm not a fan of the military. All right. And I'm definitely not a fan of gross displays of power, which is what this is supposed to be. But even I know that if you want to be intimidating, then you gotta have like your, they gotta like, I'll see if I can find like a North Korean march or something. Please don't report me for glorifying state sponsors of terrorism, which I believe North Korea is considered. Although, what does North Korea do in terms of sponsoring terrorism? I've never heard of North Korea sponsoring any terrorists, but I think they are considered that. North Korea military parade. Oh no, somebody made a slow motion. Look, I mean, I'll show you what Trump is trying to do and just not doing very well at all. All right. And they even, I guess they slowed this down because it's like that impressive. There's Lenin. All right, so this is what Trump is imitating, right? This is what Trump is trying to be. That shit, right? Look at that. It's all in unison. See what I mean? If you want to do this shit, that's how you do it. You can see there's a massive difference between what American forces are doing and what's going on here, right? Now, again, like I said, even for like a fighting force, marching, in unison, I don't think actually like helps you, right? It doesn't make you a better armed force. And, this is a flex, right? And if you're going to do this kind of flex, it's how it's supposed to look. There's the tanks. Look at that. Even the way the tank driver or the people in tanks are like, they're all at the same angle, right? This is the idea. There's the Juche flag. Oh my God, chat. We're not beating the tanky allegations today, are we? Look, I swear to God, I'm not into this shit, okay? You show off your weapons. And the reason that North Korea does this...
Narwhal_ by super chatted $5. Imagine the bizarre psychology of Mark Robinson, but focused on gender, not race. Internalized misogyny with misandry.
Oh, that's for understanding... Oh, wait, did that one come from Shorts chat? It's not showing up in the other one. Let me see if I can find it. So you're explaining femcells to me. Okay, imagine the bizarre psychology of Mark Robinson, but focused on gender, not race. Internalized misogyny and misandry. Mark Robinson? Wait, I don't know anything about Mark Robinson. What did he write? Oh, that guy. I forgot about him. Yeah. Okay. This guy... Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Mark Robinson in chat, if you don't remember, this was the guy that... This was Trump's favorite guy in North Carolina. He said that he was better than Martin Luther King. Like Pearl Davis is a femcel? You're telling me that Pearl Davis is not getting any? Like she's going on all those right-wing podcasts and she's not getting any? I thought she was just a pick-me. And that that was her... Yeah, the Africa Nudes guy. Oh crap. All right, there we go. Yeah, so People's Republic of China founding anniversary. All right, this is what a military parade is supposed to look like, right? Countries that do it generally have something to prove. And with China, I mean, they are a rising power on the world stage. They got a lot more to... But this was like 10 years ago, I think. I don't know if China is going to do stuff like this going forward because they actually are considered a near-peer military force to the United States, right? But yeah, that's what it looks like, right? This is what Trump is trying to do. This is what Trump wants. He's not getting it out of our armed forces because our armed forces don't spend all day drilling formations, right? But and that's why I'm saying that the countries that he's trying to impress are straight up laughing at us. Because they've seen it done better. They've done it better, right? This is the... There's Xi. See, he's not even that happy with them. He doesn't think they're doing that great of a job. Right? He's like, you could be doing better. You could be more in formation. They got high standards, is what I'm trying to say. Whoa. Do you see the difference between what we're looking at here and what we're looking at in Omega Star? Thank you for the gifted sub to Snooze. You just got jellyfished, and that's a good thing. Oh my god, I've lost track again. I've lost count. So this is what I'm saying. I should have just pulled this out earlier while our friends were with us on Shorts chat. It looks like they've left. So chat, with that, I am going to consolidate us all into one chat again. And we're gonna what's the word for it? Like there's a French word for when you like get back together and like yeah, raid, that's one way to say it. Yeah, I guess we're gonna raid in. So yeah, click on that. I put it in the if you're on Shorts, right? The short stream is ending, at least for now. We're gonna be all getting back together in the full scale stream, in the horizontal stream, and I can't remember this French word, this really useful French word. A rendezvous? Are we doing? Is it a rendezvous, chat? Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah, we're gonna rendezvous. That's right, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you. You knew exactly what I was talking about. All right, so click that button, and I think the mods will be spamming the link, so you can click it there if you want. Click that button if you want to make sure that you get rated in. You want to make sure that you join us in the stream. We're also going to be we'll probably do another short stream later on today when we do the LA protests. Shit is getting serious once again. You've had you actually got 2 protests today in LA, both the No Kings protest and the oh my god, what do you call it? The LA ice out of LA protests, right? So I'm gonna end the stream. Hopefully it'll raid you in. If not, click the link. Click the link. Click the link. All right. If you want to stay with us, click the link. All right. Because we got more where this came from. We've covered, I think, the Trump. Was there anything else with the Trump thing? Yeah, I mean, you got the idea, right? You know, this is different. This is different. Right? That's what the United States is doing, okay? And this is what the countries that Trump is trying to emulate are doing. Just so I'm really clear about it, all right? Right, that's how it's supposed to look. This is how Trump's doing it. And it is, again, because the United States Army does not have anything to prove. They are, at least right now, the strongest army on the face of the earth. We are called a global hegemon for a reason. That's why you don't need to do this kind of display in the United States. But if you are going to do, as might be appropriate, we are a dying empire, right? You know, you may see more and more of this, right? The United States right now doesn't have anything to prove. They may have a lot to prove in the future, but that's how it's supposed to look. That's how coordinated it is. Look at that. You could measure those dudes' heads, and they're all like equidistance, right? If you want to impress somebody with a march, you do this, not this. Not this. That's pathetic, all right? But again, you know, it's not what the U.S. Army is. It's not what the U.S. Armed Forces are for. Anyway, I'm going to call it and that stream. And there we go.